Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back to the I Win Morning Show. It's so good to see you guys on this beautiful Monday.
Good morning.
Beautiful Monday.
Good morning. Good morning. We are the second week back into the second Monday of the year, the second week of the year as well. And so we're excited to be kicking off an amazing show with you guys. Now, listen. It's early in the morning. You're getting ready for work. You're getting things going. So go ahead and do me a favor. Tag at least 5 people in this conversation.
Come on,
today.
5.
Yeah, 5.
Okay.
5 is my favorite number. So we're going to go with 5. Go ahead and tag 5 people.
Has it always been your favorite number?
Yes, it has. Go ahead and tag 5 people. And it's going to be a powerful conversation. Now, I have to say, we missed Dr. Danny on last Monday as we entered in the new year.
I was ready to get off as soon as I got on with Jason. I said, nope, I'm on my way out. I'm on my way out.
I missed y'all too.
Well, Dr. Danny, we want to first start off by saying Happy New Year and Happy Birthday. Thank you to everyone who did send Dr. Danny cards. I was thinking she was going to maybe show us a couple of the cards this morning. But there were so many cards that came to Dr. Danny for her birthday. We're so thankful for that, guys, and just wishing her an amazing year. I'm excited for all the things that are going to come forth this year. So we had to start off, guys, with telling Dr. Danny happy birthday. Now, I was waiting for the birthday song to come right on in behind me so maybe we could get like a good worship. I thought I was feeling it just coming on. It was coming in just as a
that's a little groove.
Happy birthday to you.
There was a lot. There's a lot going on in all of these screens for the birthdays. I was trying to do worship, and then it was a shout. It was a thing. It was a lot. But
can I tell you what I did? What I started doing though?
Yes, I love it.
I missed y'all too. First of all, I want to say yes, thank you, because I got my goal was to get about 45 cards because I was turning 45, and I got a little bit under that.
I thought you was turning 40.
Oh, I love you. But I still have more coming, so I'm really overwhelmed. But let me tell you what I started doing. I started framing them because I'm going to create a wall of joy. And so I got some really unique cards. So we're going to frame some of them, put them on walls, put them throughout the house. When I see them, I'll remember you all and your beautiful messages. So yes, stay tuned for some of the creative things I'm going to do with all these cards.
No, I love that. I love the wall of joy. Hey, listen, guys, if you don't have a wall of joy somewhere in your home.
I like that, Karen.
Go ahead and get you a wall of joy. It's super important.
Yeah.
And I love Dr. Danny for sharing that recommendation. So if you're tuned in, you're watching on YouTube, you can go ahead and share by clicking on that link, copying that link, and sending it out to your loved ones. But if you're on Facebook, go ahead and tag a couple of people, get them into the conversation. We're going to wait on you, but not too long. Now, Dr. Danny, we're so glad that you had an amazing birthday. You've given us something to do, which is to consider building a wall of joy. I love the frame cards. Now, listen, if you're thinking about doing maybe your own card, signature cards, contact us. We can get you some signature cards. I love that wall of joy idea. Dr. Danny, shout out to you for that. All right, guys, we are back for the I Win Morning Show, ready to motivate, inspire, elevate, and help you to win. Now, last week we talked about the big idea around what are you doing to bring in the new year? And so we touched upon goal setting and, you know, we continue some of the conversations for 2022 in regards to what do you see for yourself? What is your vision? What do you want to do moving forward? So we're going to go right into our moment of affirmation now that Dr. Danny is back with us to give us some affirmation on this morning. And then we're going to do a little break after Dr. Danny because I want to give some international and local news, but international and local news. But Dr. Danny, go ahead and we got to be seen. Yes,
come on, Danny.
But Dr. Danny, go ahead and inspire us this morning.
Okay, well, today's affirmation is inspired by the word ask. I don't know how many of you all are uncomfortable with asking. I am one of those because I am a natural born giver. But I'm hoping that you all will go into this year asking. The good word says, ask and you shall receive. You have not because you ask not. And I started this year wanting to be in a different position of daring myself to ask. And I have an acronym for ask. It's not just about asking for anything and anybody, but ask stands for asking specifically is key. Be specific in not only what you're asking, but who you're asking. So that's the inspiration for this affirmation. So the affirmation is this: dare to ask. I will be specific in what I ask. I will be specific in who I ask. I will be empowered by asking for what I need.
Wow.
That's it.
I love that. I'm taking notes as you're speaking. And you got to ask, guys. Ask for what you need. Dr. Danny is always bringing it to us. So, guys, remember, we are bringing you some affirmation in the morning. Shout out to Nicole and others who are tagging their loved ones and people into this conversation. Amazing moment of affirmation by Dr. Danny. So if you're on your way to the schoolhouse, to your business office, to the board meeting, be affirmed in what you're doing. And I'm definitely encouraging teachers, parents right now. We're getting back into the rhythm of school and daycare and, make sure that you're also touching those people who are touching the lives of your children. So Dr. Danny, thank you for giving us that affirmation, and just recap us right quick before we go on to the next thing.
Dare to ask. I will be specific in what I ask. I will be specific in who I ask. I will be empowered by asking for what I need.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. Dr. Danny, thank you so much for that. Listen up, if you guys live, of course, in the city of Atlanta, just a little Atlanta history. Atlanta is also home to a lot of the gospel community choir scene. And so I had the honor of managing a community choir called Adoration, what it seems a lifetime ago, started by Otis Bird, whose father, Otis Bird Sr., was a well-known pastor. The Bird family is well-known in the city of Atlanta. Over the weekend, if you're not familiar with the Atlanta Masonic Choir, the Lemons family is a legacy family of Atlanta. I want to start there and say that Kevin Lemons passed away this weekend. He's a world-renowned master teacher, choir director. But most importantly, he was a minister through the music of gospel. And so I want to honor his life, but I also want to acknowledge the legacy of his family. Because if you are from Atlanta, you grew up in Atlanta, a lot of people who come to Atlanta and, come to the gospel community choir scene are not necessarily natives of Atlanta. So you may not know our history. But Kevin Lemons and the Lemons family are Atlanta history. They are Atlanta legacy. And so I want to honor their family as he has joined the ancestors. What I feel is way too young. Kevin is 45. Dr. Danny just turned 45. And so it was just so much work left that I felt that he was doing. They had a major workshop where people were coming from across the world next week. And unfortunately, it won't be a workshop, but it will be a concert to celebrate his life and his work. But it was a major hit for the Atlanta community. A lot of people were not expecting that. And I think that it really ties into what we're going to be talking to on today in regards to our big question. So sending love to those members of Higher Calling, of course, his wife, Tiana. I taught his nephew. So his nephew, my former students who have trained under him, who have reached out to me and, are just heartbroken and shattered. Last thing I'll share, when I taught Kevin's nephew, and this was about early 2000s, mid 2000s. Let me just throw that out there so I won't age myself.
Wow.
We did a legacy project, and his nephew did a presentation on the Lemons family all the way back to their grandmother to 1942 when she started the Atlanta, Masonic Choir. And so they have a legacy in Atlanta, and I want to honor their legacy and uphold that bit of history for Atlanta that a lot of people know Kevin as the choir director and ministry leader of Higher Calling. But he comes from a legacy family of Atlanta, and it just has to be honored. So I want to make sure that their family is honored in the passing of Kevin. So that was the international local news.
Come on,
and it will definitely
news.
Connect to what we're talking about on today. And thank you, JT, for sharing that in honor of Kevin and his life work, and also just sending prayers and condolences to his family and his loved ones. All right, guys. So with that,
hear something? You want to hear something really quick about that? I auditioned for Pastor Lemon's choir years ago in Union City, child. And my mom was like, "I'm driving you far away for this." And I didn't think I was going to get it. And then I got it. And then I was like, oh, I got scared because there were some singers up in there. But
they sing down now. They sing down.
And that rendition of "For God So Loved the World." Oh my goodness.
One of my
favorites. I think you should sing a little bit of it right now.
Don't get me going, because I will. I'll do it before we close. I'll do it before we close.
One of my favorites, guys, you can, as you're subscribing to Educational Entities on YouTube, you can check out Kevin Lemons and Higher Calling any day now. I love that performance of the song that they did, and just so many renditions. But wow, just shocking news, and just even still surreal to even be having to talk about that in that manner. But condolences to everyone and all the lives that he has touched. So with that being said, JT, we ready for a little inspiration before we get into our big question for the day?
So I've been sitting here, just kind of trying to figure out where we wanted to go today, what we wanted to do. And it's, I'm merging out of it. And your piece on just the whole industry of asking and putting yourself out there. Inspiration is, let's try to remove fear from things that we know are positioned for our lives. A lot of times we go through life and the glimpse of our future, that's not a thing of if it's going to happen. No, it's going to happen. It's going to be put before you. The question is, how are you going to manage yourself until that comes? Wow. And sometimes it will require us to do some things that we are not privy to, like being comfortable with. There are times where I don't need to ask because it's right there in front of me. But then there are times where I'm going to have to step up and put myself out there. I'm going to have to take that leap, that jump when nobody's there. I'm going to have to feel some of the uncomfortable moments. All of that creates the energy and the selfness that you need to maintain what you saw. Because I know a lot of times we plan for, and I don't know if y'all do this, but I'm guilty of this. When I see it, I believe it, and then I start making a plan with no hiccups. No hard times, no uncomfortable moments, no things that I try to plan around what's going to be the easiest, effective, and joyous way for me to get here. And that's a plan to fail. Plan to say, how do I stay true to myself? And whatever comes my way, remember what I saw and just endure those things, because it won't last for a long time, but it will be there to strengthen you. So I'm telling you all, understand who you are and believe who you are and move forward. Don't try to run from those.
See, I was about to say, I think JT that went in. JT is always having these moments where he gets stuck in the spirit.
It's so deep.
It's the technology glitch. Good morning to all those who are checking in, near and far. JT was on the money with that, but he's having his, he in the spirit right now. It's even turning on the thing. I don't know what's going on with that. But Dr. Danny, we gonna keep.
There we go. Hello.
We gonna keep on.
I came back from the heavens. I went up to see the Lord.
Now don't play like that, because there's too many people really going to.
Yeah, like
I'm not ready.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was.
Well, I'm not.
Don't do that.
We just glimpsed at your glory, and we put a veil over our face.
We'll take the glory around us. I mean, God, give us everything that you want us to have, but I can't have any. I don't want any of my loved ones family going on. Not right now.
I had to turn my Wi-Fi off. I don't know what's going on. The
you
devil's
have
in the air.
Inspiration? It was really good.
Oh yeah, I don't even know why I finished, but at the end of it,
you were like this.
Don't plan for a great time. Don't plan for everything going your way. Enjoy and know who you are and press forward. And when the things come that are opposite what you would like to see, don't always try to change it. Endure it. Remember who you are, remember what you saw, and keep that as your focal. And I believe you're going to be able to make strides and progress in your life.
Oh, all right now. Okay. That was a little preach. He has to, JT always likes to bring us a little word. I think he's trying to prepare us for something greater that he's going to be doing later on.
Next on the list.
Listen, guys, I want us to get into it's a little bit after 7:30. I want us to get right into our conversation for today, which is really heavy. So if you have loved ones, family members, co-workers, co-conspirators that you need to have connected to this conversation, make sure you do so. Our big question today is centered around self-care and how to protect your mind, body, and spirit. So we're focusing in on self-care as we go into the new year. But we need to know, how are you protecting your mind, body, and spirit? What does that look like? All of those great things. And so we all have some really important, facts and opinions also to give to this question. And so the category is open. The floor is open, and we are ready to get right into it. So Dr. Danny JT, how are you? How are you protecting your mind, body, and spirit? Or how can people protect their mind, body, and spirit? So let's get into it.
I'm cutting all the people off that I don't like, that's giving me hell. I'm cutting them off.
Period.
Wow. I have a question about that. I noticed that a lot of people do that.
I'm really not.
I know you're not.
Okay.
I'm on the page.
Okay.
But I do want to go here. Because in all seriousness, a lot of people do start off their year saying, I'm cutting people off. I'm not going to talk to this person. And, blah, 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 blah. And I get it. You have to do what is best for you. But I also challenge people to say, how do you deal with people that may not necessarily align with your mission or your beliefs or your vision? Because no one is ever going to always be that. And so I think that in our society, especially with social media, we're so quick to cut people off and just, rid of people. And I don't know. I just think that takes away from the true meaning of unconditional love. So that's my perspective. Again, if you know your situation now, what your relationship is with somebody else. So if it's toxic and if you need to remove yourself. I'm not taking away any of that. I'm just addressing the notion of how there are a lot of people who may not be spiritually mature or just mature, period. To be able to handle some real conversations around when you don't align with someone, do you just cut them off and not deal with them? And that includes businesses and organizations. Like if I'm at work and there's somebody in an organization that rubbed me the wrong way, am I no longer going to collaborate or work with?
When you say
this
align,
entity?
what type of alignment is this? Our belief alignment? Is it just not aligning and agreeing with my point of view?
All of the above. So I just wanted to highlight that in what you said. I know it was a joke, but there are a lot of people who do struggle with that. So if you are in that mode for some self-care, just before you cut people off, just make sure that it's intentional and it's with love. That's the main idea. All right, let's keep going.
You said that, but I'm that person who took a long time. I gave so much grace. I just got used to saying no. I got used to blocking. I got used to cutting people off. Like I'm new to this. And so I was kind of like, oh, okay. That's what we're doing. Block, cut off, ignore. And it took a long time to do that. But it was over years of pain, over years of, blaming myself in areas that may have failed or feeling like I wasn't doing enough. And so, I totally get what you're saying. And I think, you go from one extreme to the other, but now I've started coming back and finding the balance. And so, you really do have to find out what are the boundaries. And when I was thinking about protecting myself, it was, you don't live on an island. So there are people you are going to encounter regardless of whatever you do to avoid them. They will show up. They will find their way. And so it's finding out, mentally, what are some of those triggers? What are those things that people could say? Because we are all human. And so it's finding out, okay, in the event that somebody is going to come at me like this should be my response. Or this should be how I process through that. Because, we have to give others grace too. Some people don't know what they're doing wrong or what might be offensive. But I'm gonna tell you one of the things on my list, because I have isolated myself a little bit more than usual, and I'm social normally. But it's when people don't hear from me, and then they start wanting to call. And when I finally call them back, either they want to play the game of phone tag, which is against my religion right now, or they want to ask me, "Where you been?" Wait, whoa, where I been? Where I've been? If you are a part of my circle, you would know where I've been and you would know what I've been through. So that's the first question you're not going to ask. So it's really understanding mentally, how do I protect myself and how do I prepare myself for what's going to come out of the mouths of some of these people, and limit the amount of people that you allow coming in. I may say this week, I may talk to 3 out of the 5 folks that really want to talk to me this week, just so they know I'm alive. But that allows me to mentally be in a safe place, taking care of myself and the energy that I'm putting out there to have conversations that I actually really need to have.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's good. I think that takes us to a place of, can we have moments of isolation where we are with ourselves and that be okay? And the other thing that you mentioned, Dr. Danny, was balance. And I think that balance is key. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I think so.
JT, the brand master, what do you have to say?
I'm in agreement with that. I just think we haven't been taught how to manage when people are not knowledgeable of new things, or there may be a space of a little separation, how to manage that to where we don't feel attacked. You know what I'm saying? Where you been? Oh, you feel like somebody has left you, or you feel abandoned. What's the root of that? And it just feels like we don't really know how to manage those areas of always thinking about the betterment of a person. So, hey, how you doing? Notice that you took some time, just want to check in. You good? How's everything? And here's the thing that I do. When I ask you, how are you? I'm not asking as a statement in the conversation to move on. I really want to know, how are you? And if I was calling for something, I put you over what I was calling for, because the betterment of the person is that's where my heart is. So for me, self-care, I think we talked about this before a couple of Mondays ago. I was making the statement of knowing what works for you, knowing what you want to do. And it is hard sometimes to care for yourself when you really haven't been taught to own who you are and be okay and not apologize for the things that you like and for the things that you stand for. Yes, we're in the space of unified connectivity. We want people to be on the same page. But for me to really be strong in that, I have to know who I am. And if we go to the word, yes, it talks about one body. I'm one body. But my fingers are different, my hands are different, my arms are different. Everything does its own space. So I think inside of unity should be individualization, where I'm being able to hold on my own. But if you don't know who you are, if you don't like who you are, if you're not sure, it's hard to really provide care of yourself. And then it's hard for you to care for someone else when they are in their own space.
Right.
And I think that's where it goes from, because I show so much love to y'all because I learned how to love myself. And anything that's not allowing me to love myself, that's when I need to be able to say, hey, this may not be the best for me, because that's usually my trigger. How are you making me feel about myself? And then, is there something about you that's making me question myself? Let me look internally first. And then let me be able to say, is this a threat to change who I am? So I think the self-care is asking, what do I want? What do I want to do? Because I really would love to know, some of y'all that are watching, how many of you really are yourself around your friends? How many when you start presenting yourself, do you notice when you become yourself, do they start changing and trying to coerce you? Are you able to stand on your word? Like my friends will tell me all the time, well, I don't like that. Or I'll be like, oh, okay, well, why don't you do this? I'll do it later. And we move on because I know what's going to work. Or, well, why you didn't? No. I didn't feel like doing that, and I'm okay with it. No shade, but I'm strong, and it's not a dig at you because I didn't take your advice. Not taking your advice is not a stab at you. It's me saying I appreciate it, but probably not right now. But I'll keep it in my mind for later.
Yeah.
I love that.
Definitely. I think what's really important too is that we have so many conversations about self-care and what people can do, but we also do not include in that conversation, there still have to be boundaries and steps that you take when you go into spaces that help provide self-care for you. So like when we talk about therapy, for self-care, it's understanding that there's still boundaries. Because remember this, when you're doing self-care, whether it's, you're taking care of the spiritual piece and going to church, or you're taking care of the mental piece and you're talking to somebody, or you're taking care of the body piece and somebody is like touching you and massaging, whatever it is, those are places that you go and you are highly vulnerable or can potentially be highly vulnerable. And people don't talk enough about how do you protect yourself in those spaces. You don't go in there trusting everybody. You go in there to establish and build trust. And so, I know we talked sometimes about church, or we talk about spirituality. And those are the spaces where people often talk about where sometimes they've been hurt most, right? Yeah. And so it's understanding, but that's also a place where people can go and be healed if you do it in the proper way. If you do it with the right mind frame of, I am not going there wholeheartedly all at once and pouring my whole heart out to man, but pour your heart out to God. And you don't have to do that in the building. You can do that wherever you are going to meet with God. So it's really understanding. We need to have more conversations of how to understand and establish boundary building in spaces where you are going to be highly vulnerable. And those are normally spaces where you are practicing self-care.
That's good.
Yeah.
I love this, guys. I'm like, go ahead and talk, y'all. I'm taking notes. I'm listening. I love it. I would love for people to give their perspective of what self-care is. When I'm looking at national data, right now I'm in Arizona for work, so it is not 7:46 in the morning. It is 5:46 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And as I have been here really researching what are ways that we can support families in and out of classrooms. And we had a presentation last night from one organization that really highlighted how during the pandemic, suicide has gone up. There are a lot of children who are in the foster care system because they have had parents or guardians who have passed away. The amount of rates in regards to the Black community, Black and brown, communities in regards to heart attacks or heart-related illnesses during the pandemic have increased. And so what does self-care look like for us? Mentally, people are more stressed, more socially divided, but also, how are we taking care of our bodies, what we're eating? One of the data presentations touched on how fast food, the fast food industry accelerated, even though there was a food shortage. It still accelerated. So how are we taking care of ourselves, and what is self-care? I would love for people who are in the comments to share what is self-care to them, but also Dr. Danny, JT, the brand master, I would love to hear from you guys. What is self-care, and what can people actually do? Maybe some tangible things that people can do. I loved what Dr. Danny brought in, the connection to spirituality. So, maybe going to church, maybe walking or being in nature, going to a retreat, getting a massage. Now, I have to say this, Dr. Danny, when you were giving us my mind went straight to Mariah Carey, touch my, because you were like, if you get a touch or massage, and I was like, touch my body. Just Mariah Carey, it just came to my mind because of that song. But whatever you decide to do around self-care, you first have to know what it is. So definitely want to see what you guys' thoughts are.
Well, one just says set boundaries, and I think that is key. And I simply say make a list of what makes you happy without reasoning. A lot of times I do this with my clients. Before you start putting in this and that, no, make a list of everything that makes you happy without reason. And then begin to say, which ones can I obtain right now? So when I feel myself going down, when I feel myself being in a bad place, when I feel myself going there, guess what I can do? I can go to that list and go try to find that thing that brings me that joy. And I think that's a step to start creating what I read in this book, this utopia of self-awareness, self-love, self-connection. It starts with what brings you joy. And that's what I do, right? Well, the things I want to be able to make happen, I make a list. And I go and do it. Give myself options and not trying to do it. Because I think a lot of times, too, some people have hard time having self-care because they don't know how to be alone with themselves. They're nervous. They're scared. They can't be, no, they don't want to do that. But listen, baby, you are your best self. You are the superpower. You are the missing link. And if you can't be alone with yourself, it's going to be a hard life because you're going to always have to rely on somebody else. Take time to be with you. Take time to be with yourself. Not saying you got to be sitting in the room by yourself for an hour, just rocking back and forth. But I am saying you can take 5 minutes of just, where am I? What am I feeling? What do I got going on? Okay, what are we doing here? So that you can really know how to, position your body, yourself.
I like the client. I like the client word. You all will get this because you all are in business. But what I really focus on, because this was a harsh reality, I treat my clients better than I treat myself. And so I need to become my client.
Ooh.
What you said, JT, about the list.
Somebody
Ooh, yeah. What you said about the list of things that make you happy, what I started doing was creating a list of things that I will commit to, non-negotiables. And so what you all saw me do for the past 2 weeks, I wanted to show up. I wanted to work. I love to work. That's why we do what we do. But I said, but as a client, I would fail myself if I showed up and said that this was one of the things I would not do. If I said I would not plug in in 2 weeks, I shall not, or I have failed as a client.
All right.
Or I have failed as a business person to me, who is the client. That's what I meant. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Be your client. Treat yourself the way you treat others.
And really good comments that are coming through from so many. This is awesome. And shout out to Barney.
You want to
Barney
read?
has a book out.
You gonna read what he said? Because I wanted you to read it.
You wanted me to read it.
Yeah, like you be reading in church when the pastor say, we need Psalms 51, and you be like, read? And Jason be like, and God said...
Because he's on the trust board of trustees.
Well, let me go ahead and just read just a little bit. Because Barney did put a paragraph, but Barney has a book, so I'm gonna allow him to, put the title of his book in the comments. But he starts out by saying, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Continuing to hold on to things and people that mean you no good because you feel the need to save them has become a form of clutter. Now let me stop there because I almost got up on my seat. There are so many people that I know who are doing this. Let me just help somebody.
We're not Superman. We're not
Superman. And I'm gonna be honest. If you believe in Jesus, let him or let Christ do the work because Christ is the Savior.
Yes.
Christ is the Savior. We ain't the Savior.
Yep.
We are instruments. Our job is to go out and be the instruments. We are not the Savior. And so many people feel like, well, I got to keep doing this because I got to save, someone. I got to save this. I have to do this in order
to save yourself.
No, you don't. Barney is freeing somebody right now. And he's gonna
dying for you.
You got to put the book title in the comments so people can come back as they rewatch this to get that information. But get rid of it. It ain't your job to save everybody and everything. You can't save anything if you can't save yourself.
That's right. Well,
Did he jump off? Well, he just jumped off. Listen,
he got so excited.
I'm not saving nobody because I ain't dying for you. I didn't die for you. Jesus died for us. I ain't dying for you. I'm living my life. I'm not going to. Oh, he back. Let me bring it back on. Fine. Just walk on out. I guess what you said was really good.
He said exit stage left.
I'm on my way.
I don't know. I think I started to, let me tell you, I just want people to get free of that.
Yeah.
You can't save anybody if you're not here.
Correct.
I mean, you just can't. Now, I didn't do that. I don't know what happened. I think my hand was trying to lift, and then it just took me out. So
it took you way out.
Took you way out. Yeah, I don't. Jesus is the Savior because He died for us,
right?
And I allow Him to do it. And here's the thing: if we're going to put ourselves in that place, we have to also understand that the way that He's going to work with them may not be the way we agree with. But we have to allow it to happen. My job is to be here to pray for you, to encourage you, to be a support. And the support is not me giving up of myself. The support is, what can I do that you need? And if I can't do anything, baby, I'm going to do the biggest thing, which is prayer. But if I can do something, here's what I'm able to do. Because a lot of times when people ask, can you do this? Can you do that? This is what I say. I know this is what you want, but here's what I can do. Here's what I'm available for. Can you come over here and help? I need a favor. Okay, let me hear what it is, and I'll let you know what I'm able to do myself. So, yeah, no, we're not doing no more projects in 2023. No more self projects, yes. We're not doing it in 2023. No. Let them do what they need to do. You do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Come on, breakfast with Barney. Come on. He going to buy breakfast for the entire I Win morning show so we can,
I received that.
Amen.
Barney
Jackson.
Amazing book. He had an amazing group and series that we went through the book together. And so I'm encouraging people near and far, make sure you connect, get that book. Speaking of books, my book is going to be coming out this year, so I'm super excited about books. If you need help writing a book, you have that support right here on the I Win Morning Show. So don't sleep on us. We have a lot going on and a lot that we do. I want to go in this direction. I want to ask you guys this question. meditation.
Dr. Danny did something when you were talking, and I wanted her to expound on that because she said, "Ooh," and she went back. So I wanted to know, did you want to share what that little unction was, or you don't remember?
I remember.
Okay, there you go.
It was one thing that we all can do. For those who have like things to do lists that they write every morning, one thing I started doing was asking God first, but what's on your list of things for me? God, what do you want me to do? What's on your list? Because I never asked God. Like I was over here writing my list, and then I was like, half the stuff I can't get done, and maybe half of it wasn't supposed to get done today, but I never asked God. So I started asking God first. God, what's on your list of things that you want me to get done? And all that stuff would get done because you ask the Creator first. He provides the resources that He needed you to have access to get done what He needed you to get done that day. That was all.
I love it.
That
was good. We like some tangible things for people to take away. I know we're almost at 8 o'clock, and I do want to ask you guys about this because JT made a point earlier about how people don't like to sit in silence. They don't want to. People are afraid to be by themselves. I saw a couple of posts over the last couple of days, and people were like, "I'm alone. I feel lonely," and I wanted to ask you guys around meditation. Do people meditate? How are people connected to the art of meditation? And I think that this is a big question because I know growing up in the church, meditation was much like therapy. Jesus is our counselor. You got to take this to the Lord in prayer, but a lot of times people needed therapy, and they really needed that professional help. And there's nothing wrong with that because at the end of the day, Christ called these people to be therapists. So it's okay to go to a therapist. It's also okay to meditate and take that time to sit away from your phone, away from the gadgets and technology and, all of the rigmarole. And just meditate. And
Come on, rigmarole.
Yeah, okay. That's what we call it. The rigmarole is just too much. Are you all meditating? Do people meditate? And how could we possibly add meditation into our work of self-care?
I don't meditate. I meditate at times, but I don't meditate as consistently as I wanted to. But I try to always take time to be with myself. And that whole quietness, it's good. It's just making the time for it. But I do think people need to, and maybe to me, the best ways to do it, if you want to know, like get into meditation, is to get in your car, drive around with no music, and just see. I try to drive through the city because it's more scenery sometimes, or get on 285, early morning at night. But if you can't sit in your house, get in your car, no music, turn your phone on silent, and just drive and see where that is with your time. Take a road trip. That would be my suggestion of trying to do the meditation and get into that rhythm. That's good.
I know some people who do that. Dr. Danny?
There are apps too. I mean, if you're trying to explore a little bit, I think I shy away from telling people who are afraid to be alone to join a group with other people who are afraid to be alone, because that's, contradictory. That means you're doing what you're not supposed to do. You're still trying to figure out how to be alone. So stop looking for groups. But find an app. There's an app called Calm something.
No, you're right.
Anyway, but it helps you with meditation. It gives you the steps or whatever. I know for myself, I have to meditate because I don't know who half the time I'm going to be meeting with and talking to. And I was like, Lord, help me get my mind right, because I don't know who or what is in this space. But meditation is essential for me. And it's even just centering myself, and also just, because I believe prayer and meditation go hand in hand. It's just really putting it out there in the atmosphere that I just want what's best for this person I'm going to speak with. I want to just say what needs to be said. And I want to just make this a productive meeting. So those are the things that I'm always meditating on. It's just how to bring my best and also how to get my best.
That's good.
Yeah. I like this. That. This was a good conversation today.
It was.
Self-care is so important, guys. Taking care of your mind, body, and spirit. it's important. And there's not a right or a wrong way to do it. There's not everybody has to subscribe to doing it this way.
Right.
I think that what we have to begin conditioning ourselves to see and understand is that we all have different walks. We all have different, journeys, and we have to be able to do this on our own. What may work for Dr. Danny may not work for me, but it may work for JT. It may work for someone who's watching. So that's why the art of storytelling, this is almost for me like a virtual classroom, because I feel like in everything I'm doing, I'm trying to teach people to be the best. Now, I don't know what made JT.
Again,
I got it. But helping people, we going in and out. When we go in the spirit, we got to go out for a second. But just helping people to find what's best for them is important, because everybody isn't the same. And oftentimes when people are fearful of being alone, it's because they feel like nobody's hearing me. Nobody sees me. I don't see my value in others. And that is a great place for us to sit and find the value within ourselves. Because sometimes when you sit and it's like, well, I don't know what to do, you'll start cleaning up. You'll start decluttering things. You'll start creating things. You'll find yourself, I used to do this in my classroom. Sometimes I would just say, we're going to sit. And I would let the students sit. And as 5 or 7 minutes go by, I would see the students who were like, okay, I've sat for a while. Let me get a book. I watched how people navigated and naturally started to do things. So I saw how people would create things with their shoestrings, and people who would doodle and draw, whether it was on their hand because they wanted to do artwork. So many different things that the students would do just in that time of sitting and being able to reflect. And that a lot of times allows you to connect with yourself. So don't be afraid to sit and be alone, but also don't be afraid to ask for help. And being able to have a safe village and support system is also important. So definitely wanted to add that conversation around self-care. Now, before we get ready to close out, Dr. Danny and JT, the brand master, healthy living is a big part of self-care. So I definitely want to know, what are some things that you guys are doing to improve your health and also to help those who you love improve their health? What are some things that you guys are doing?
Eating right, working out, and not setting some unrealistic workout regimen, not going in and trying to do everything, but simple things, taking the journey. Hell, if I'm getting up walking a mile every day, that's activity, that's momentum to get me into this consistency. And I want to tap into something real quick, that if we have seeded into bad habits that did not allow us to care for ourselves, when we decide to make the decision to start caring, don't look for it to be a light switch and everything is going to start going the right way. It's going to have to be a journey, because here's the thing, we have seeded some unhealthy patterns and we have to undo those. And sometimes those does not happen overnight. So be okay with the journey and know that every step that I take to better, to unwind, is going to produce a result. It may not be today when I chose it, but it may be later on next week. I will start attracting better people for my lives. The same thing about the healthy journey. Go to the gym, walk a mile every day, do a little lift. I'm not losing weight tomorrow. I'm not seeing the progress tomorrow, but if I stay consistent, it's going to get better. It's going to change. So really embrace the journey. Don't try to rush. Stop trying to rush and get there. Embrace the journey, because there's a person that you have not met inside of yourself that wants to come out in this consistency of bettering yourself, and you have to meet that person.
Wow. I love that.
That's it.
That's it?
That's my word.
That was a whole list.
My word. That was it.
It was a list and it was a word. I'm good with that. Dr. Danny?
Well, I have a dog who is very much persistent in saying, girl, let's go walk. So we got that together, and committing to going to the gym a couple of days out of the week. And I have accountability partners who make sure I go. And I know I've told you I'm a foodie, so I have really tapped back into cooking.
Oh,
really
she's inviting us over to eat.
Cooking, like some real Southern girl cooking, because it brings me so much joy. So those are some of my top 3 things. And picking a random day to take off.
I love that.
Boom. Boom.
I love
Boom.
that.
I like that.
These are amazing, guys. I would have to say ditto to all of that. Being intentional about what you're doing. That's my goal. My word for this year is legacy. So I want to be intentional about everything that I'm doing. And in order for me to be intentional, I have to make sure that I'm in a space to be present. And so how am I resting? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I taking that time to exercise? I'm thankful for my friends, in particular Jared, who would say, listen, you got to get up. Y'all need to go work out. Y'all got to get up and exercise. You know, you're starting to get a little older. You got to get up and you got to work out. So many of my good friends who would ask, how are we eating healthy? And, you know, are you guys cooking more or going out to eat more? So really just thinking about how am I being intentional about my spending? How am I being intentional about my time? Being intentional about the words that I'm sharing with other people, and most importantly, being intentional about how I'm protecting me. You know, Aaliyah said in the 90s, I've got to watch my body. I'm not just anybody. And I said, girl, you're preaching, because if you're not watching yourself, if you're not protecting yourself, if you're not covering your own mind. See, a lot of times we rely on people to do these things for us. The pastor is going to pray for us and give us the word. The teacher is going to teach us and help us to excel and, you know, do this. Our boss or our director is going to help us to do this. You got to take control of your mind, your body, your spirit. It belongs to you. You are the vessel that God gave that to. And so don't sleep on that. You have to be in control of you and your self-care. So I hope, as a recap, you know, you cutting off those folks, but doing it love. Make sure you have your boundaries set up and in place. Make sure that you have balance, but also make sure that you are clear and upfront. And I loved how Dr. Danny shared her thoughts earlier, as well as JT, the brand master. Listen, here's what I can do. Here's what I can't do. And I don't owe you an explanation, excuse, or anything else. But I still love you. And
I
it's okay.
still love you.
And you can, guys, you can do that. So I hope that people are motivated to really look at self-care differently. And it's a whole accountability piece of this conversation. So, you know, maybe that could be a part 2, because you have to be able to hold yourself accountable to meeting these goals, but also your village. I believe it's important for everybody to have a village. Okay. When we think about people who are no longer with us, specifically over the last 5 years that have committed suicide, a lot of the reports that I've read, people felt isolated, they felt alone, or they felt that they could not be their authentic selves. And I just want to share with someone right now who may be that friend where people feel like I can be myself around you. Continue to be that space for people, because sometimes you may be the only outlet that person has. So yeah, adding that to the conversation on today.
This was good. This was good.
It was good. Yeah, I can always tell when the conversation gets good and JT's hair has gone from up to down. He's gotten into it. It's like, I got to get all of this. This has got to be out. This just have to.
Got to be out.
This just has to be out. So JT, before we head out, tell us the show that we should be watching on Sunday evening. Is it worst? You know what I'm trying to say.
Worst Cook of America.
Yes.
Food Network. I promise you all, not just because my brother's on there, but it's a really good show. Like the comedy, the engagement, the camaraderie between those people, it's really, really good. So
who's your brother?
Sunday, Nick Trawick.
Yes, I was as we are getting ready to transition out, I was just hoping that JT may show us a clip of his. It is hilarious, y'all. Let me tell you, my students love JT's brother is a social media influencer, and so my students
I have a clip next week.
He had a clip next week. I cannot wait for that. So guys, you got to tune in next week to see the clip. But Nick Trawick is on the television show Worst Cooks, right?
Yeah, Worst Cooks of America.
Worst Cooks of America. It comes on Sundays. It was on last evening. Hilarious. Now, I don't know now. The commentary is hilarious. I don't know if they have one on the I Win Morning Show, but the commentary is hilarious. Listen, we love you guys. Make sure you stay empowered. Go back, rewatch this, take some notes, but also share this with others. And I am so...
Share it, people of God.
Yeah, share it. And I would love for people to drop in the comments, recommendations for places where people can, meditate, nature walks that are really good for people, therapists that people could recommend and connect, free resources on how you can get maybe art kits or just things that help us really drive this work. We have another resource through Barney Jackson, Breakfast with Barney. So, any resources you guys can connect to this conversation, maybe in the rewatch, please put it in the comments because we want to get people as much support and help as possible. Now, I'm challenging everybody. Make sure when you show up next week, bring 5 people with you. You're going to tag 5 people too, but I want you to bring 5 people on in when we get ready to start at 7:15 a.m. in the morning. So join us next week for the I Win Morning Show to see what our big question is going to be for next week. All right, love y'all. Have a great day. I'm going back to sleep. Hallelujah.